Wait, go.
Hello. This is Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Now Weekly Podcast and executive producer of Above Board TV on YouTube.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 293. And we're recording this on November 1st, 2023. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network. And Corey, I just got back from an epic 30-day trip away from home, which we're going to talk about. And yet I'm planning another week away in just a week and a half from now, going
Probably
to
amazing being away from
BGG
home
Con
30 days.
in Dallas. Shush, this is my opening. And then after that, after Thanksgiving, another week away at PAX U. And in all of this travel, there will be no Tom Vassell. Oh, okay, well, I did see him in Essen. So part of it was ruined. Corey, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. So 30 whole days away from Florida. That sounds like a dream. So
I did pick up a cold though. I'm gonna have to clear my throat, hit the cough button here a couple of times. But besides that, it was amazing. We'll talk about that in just a little bit.
Perfect.
But in the meantime, what's happening with Corey Thompson?
Oh man, I have been traveling constantly and I've been doing little conventions constantly. So I had a corporate convention get together with the guys at Lucky Duck Games. They came to my house in Napa and we played games and we checked out prototypes and we talked business. It was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
I and my faithful manservant Barry, who is always at the house and always doing things for me, spontaneously built an entire wall of games.
Wait. I know Barry Figram, and you called him
Yes.
your manservant. I just want to make sure that that's on record. All right. Now, Barry,
No,
who is amazing, and I've seen some of his work. He built you a wall of games.
he
He built a
took
wall.
he took more Calexes than you can imagine and built a wall that was in total over 220 Calex cubes. It's about 8 or 9 feet tall, and it has a rolling ladder.
No,
And
he
it takes
did
over an
not.
entire wall at
So
the house.
this is what I was considering doing in my house, but I said, you know what? I should not do this. So I would
Yep.
love to see a video of that, a pictures video. Would you be able to
I
send some of
can. I
that?
can send you
Not
pictures
not
of this.
not right now because I want to see them and
Well,
I
we're
want
not
to
doing anything right now.
no, we're not. It's nothing important right now. Wow, so that's great. So you were with the Lucky Duck team, even the guys from Poland?
It was the US team, so Scott Morris was
Scott
there,
Morris,
and
awesome.
we ate great food and played games and had a good time. And then immediately after that, I had a convention of my own just with about 20-25 people in the local area, and we played more games. We played the Essen Hotness. It was amazing. And then in literally 3 hours, I'm taking a flight to Florida
You're coming to see me?
just to see you. That's
Yes.
the only reason we're filming
Yes.
things with
And
with
you're a
Dice
liar
Tower.
because you're not coming to see me.
We're doing Above Board is doing exciting things with Dice Tower.
That's cool, man.
So then a week after that, BDG, and then a week after that, PAX.
Excellent. I'll see you at both of those.
Constant travel.
I'll see you at both of those. And with any luck, maybe even as a little side thing while you're here in Florida, down way at the side. I always say I'm in South Florida. Dice Tower is really South Florida. You
I
don't
know
get any
you're
more
a
south.
couple hours away.
Hour and a half away from Dice Tower Studio.
Yep.
So over here at the Podfather Gaming, like I mentioned, epic 30-day trip to Europe. But before that, this trip was really essentially 37 days away from home with one day. It's one slice in there where I was home. But that first 6 days, I was in Las Vegas for the World Series of Board Gaming. And I never gave a cool recap of that. And I just can't tell you guys how amazing this event is just turning out, and year after year, I am on the board of directors, so I kind of could say we, but I have nothing to do with the running of this thing. The event is just ballooned into something amazing. They have nightly shows. They have these outer ring tournaments where you can play for smaller cash related prizes. They've got world championships where they did world championships for Red Cathedral and Dice Throne, with huge prizes like a trip to Essen and stuff like that. I mean, it's just going amazing. And we crowned the world champion, who I will now give a shout out to, Angela Tao. I'm pretty sure I got her name right. Just an amazing, engaging person. And because I was away for the last 30 days, I have not been able to do an interview with her, and I wanted to do a really nice one. So I'm going to do this great interview with Angela. She is originally from China. She now lives in Canada. Just great. And I was so happy to see a woman winning this. The whole event worked so well. So consider, guys, that this is a good thing to possibly come to. Even if you're not of the ultra competitive type, you can still enter some tournaments, even if it's not the ring tournaments, or you could enter into the outer ring tournaments, or you can just open game the whole time. There's going to be some more news coming out about some strategic partners that the World Series is going to be bringing on. That's going to come out fairly soon. But back to my 30-day trip. I was in Munich for Oktoberfest, which far exceeded my expectations for how cool. I thought it was going to be like a state fair that we have here, right, Corey? You ever go to state fairs in the US, right? They're fun. They have rides, and and you can go drink some beer. This was so much fun. Those beer halls were great, and of course the food, amazing. Munich. Then I was in Essen. We covered that at the last show. Paris. We took a train to Paris, spent 3 nights there. Of course, all the amazing things and the food and the sights you see there. London. We did all the amazing sights there. We did the Jack the Ripper walking tour, which I sponsored to promote my cruise that's coming up
right
next
up your
year.
alley.
I know, it was so much fun. And then from London, we did a quick bus trip, because you got to go to Southampton. It's like an hour plus to get to where the cruise port is in that area. It's outside of London, and we stopped at Stonehenge. Now, I thought Stonehenge would be like a bunch of rocks, but let me tell you something. There was literally something magical when you looked at what this was. When you see 40-ton stones, which somehow a relatively primitive people, because this is completely undocumented stuff, raised 40 tons to sit on top of other 40-ton stones. It was pretty cool sight to see. So I do encourage people to do that. And then on the 15-night cruise, we went to Vigo, Spain, Lisbon and Sintra, Portugal, Lanzarote, Canary Islands, Tenerife, Canary Islands. And instead of Bermuda, because a hurricane was passing right by Bermuda, we got around that and we went to Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. It was an amazing trip. So if you want to see more about what I did there, I didn't put that on my channel. I put that on my personal Facebook page, all the stuff that we did and all the pictures. Please friend me on Facebook and you can see it all. It was a lot of fun. And of course, the gaming. And the gaming. And I'm going to mention one game, because there was a lot of Essen games that got played. One game.
Just one.
Not just one, but just one game. Station Fall. Have you played Station Fall? Have you played it?
Good.
Oh,
yes.
It is now vying for my number 1 game. It's not going to become. It's going to be my number 2 game of the year. I've already called out my number 1 game.
If it was Lord of the Rings themed, it would be your number 1.
No, a Lord of the Rings themed game was not my number 1 game last year. And my number 1 game is Thunder Road Vendetta. It's amazing. And this Station Fall is just an amazing, very asymmetrical game where you are manipulating characters on a space station that's about to crash into Earth. And everyone's got a different agenda. I might want this character to get killed. I might want to get the artifact and this briefcase back to Earth. And there's all these ways of doing things, and so much fun. A billion rules that you don't have to know all the rules to start the game, which is kind of part of it. Because if you try to learn all the rules before starting the game, it'll take you 3 hours to do that. You don't want to do that. Great game. Check out Stationfall. My number
chaotic, insane, hysterical fun.
Yes, that's it. And with that, we're going to get to a massive amount of news. We're going to skip the other sections for today because since we delayed doing a podcast for a month due to my trips, due to issues with recovering from Essen, due to Corey's trips. So we're going to
I think it's mostly your trips.
Mostly because of me. We delayed doing this. I take responsibility, though. As you can see, we don't have a third Ignacy here. Where is this guy? I don't even want to start with this guy, Ignacy. We're going to get to him. I love him. Let's get to the event deck. All right. So, Corey, we will circle back a little bit to the spiel in Essen here because they released their attendance. And tell us, what did they say about their attendance?
Well, we talked about it a little bit at our live show at Essen. We had heard that it was record breaking. So as a precursor, we just need to say again that Essen Spiel measures their attendance a different way from other conventions do. They measure turnstile entrances. So each day, if you walk through those turnstiles, the little gnomes inside the turnstile click and say 1.
I actually think, and I'm gonna correct you slightly on this.
Oh, please.
I think that if you have purchased a 4-day ticket, doesn't matter if you actually go through, because back in the day they weren't even scanning things. They would just look at your ticket and you'd go through. So if you purchase a 4-day ticket, you're 4 people. If you purchase a Saturday ticket only, you're 1 person. So basically you have it. If you purchase a 4-day ticket, you're probably going to be going all the days. So what was their numbers on the turnstile attendance?
So the world's largest board game fair had over 193,000 game enthusiasts from 85 countries attending.
That's amazing.
So it's incredible. Again, it had the new hall with the new layout that covered 62,600 square meters, which is big.
That's a massive square meters, which each square meter is about 10 square feet. So that's 630, let's call it 630,000 square feet of space. Tremendous.
Oh, yeah. Insane.
And we talked about this already, but I think we should emphasize it a little bit. The new layout or the new places where they put the various exhibitors. Talk about that, Corey, because it's very significant where people were located.
They tried to theme the halls. So this was the first year that the Essen Spiel was being run by the new company. Essen Spiel was sold from a family-run organization to the actual corporation company that runs the Nuremberg Toy Fair. So Merz Verlag, the new company, which is run by Carol Rapp, they wanted to do it a little different. So they themed the halls. Essen takes place over technically 8 large exhibit halls, each of which could be about the size of the Gen Con exhibit hall. So it's enormous, but each hall was themed to family games, advanced games, business to business, German only.
Yep.
There were themes all over. This was the first year they did that. So I think the take home from that is that the attendees thought it was great. And the regular, been there every year, really, really old industry people like Steven walked around confused in circles and didn't know where anything was.
It's my normal state of walking around confused.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think we really talk a lot about this, that I think agree this is a great idea, which they'll evolve over time a little bit with feedback, I'm sure. But the theming, Hall 3, which was the true expert games, the stuff that we have in our zeitgeist the most, was overcrowded still. So who knows how they're gonna do that. But overall, this is really good. And I do want to make one correction to what you said. Merz Verlag is the company that has always owned the Essenspiel, but now runs that as a subsidiary of the
Okay.
larger company, which is Sparkenwarmessa. It's the people. They were bought. Meersverlag was bought by, but is still using
Ah,
that name. And they're the ones who run the Nuremberg Toy Fair, which is a name that English speakers cannot pronounce. Sparkenwarmessa. I don't know. It's a very long name. You don't have to worry about it. Nuremberg Toy Fair, Essen, now the same ownership, and that's the important thing.
thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. I want to make sure people know that we know we're on top of this stuff. So the next thing is a really sad moment for me, and I think a lot of gamers, that Cool Stuff Inc. has now officially phased out their board games and RPGs, and they're exiting the business. Kind of. All right. Well, Corey, give us some more color on this.
So we've known about this for a while,
Yes.
that Cool Stuff was going to back off on retail sales, on board game sales, and focus more on logistics, because Cool Stuff Inc. also owns Quartermaster Logistics. And if you've backed any Kickstarter in the past 10 years, a lot of your packages have come from QML, Quartermaster Logistics. So this is another phase in that transition for them. So the article from ICV2 says CoolStuffInc.com is phasing out its board game and RPG selections in both its online and 6 brick and mortar stores as a result of a strategic decision to emphasize trading card games. And the company just announced this. So they're going to keep running a little bit of retail and trading cards. I'm not sure if that's going to continue on, because, like I said, their big thing is going to be the QML business. It's sad for residents of Florida because, well, they're in Florida, so it's sad for a lot of reasons. But one of the big things is Cool Stuff was the local get-together board game store for plays and meetings and get-togethers for Dice Tower, lots of other groups in Florida. So now they are not there anymore.
That is correct. They're also going to, they have their Quartermaster Logistics arm, but they also have Quartermaster Direct, which is essentially a competitor to PSI and Impressions. So they're acting as a consolidator, and they will sell your games to distributors around the country because they've got so much of this logistics. They might as well do that as well.
Yeah, Consolidator acting like a stand-in publisher for games that aren't part of a big publishing group.
True. So this next one is interesting. It's a Daily Magic Games, no longer to be, what is that, Corey? No longer what? To be a traditional retailer, but a
Traditional
boutique
retailer.
publisher?
They called themselves a boutique publisher. So basically, Daily Magic is not going to be selling its games straight through retail anymore. So Daily Magic Games, of course, is the group that's done all of the Valeria games, and there's too many to list, the most recent of which was Castellans of Valeria. There's 2 parts to this story, too. One, they're renaming their games. They're no longer going to be Kingdom of Valeria, this of Valeria, that of Valeria. They're going to have a traditional name and then a tag at the bottom that says a Valeria game to try to alleviate some of the confusion about the titles. Because, like I said, there's a lot of Valeria games, and gamers like me, we do get confused. Old gamers like me get even more confused. So the statement is, beginning with this project, which is the Castellans of Valeria, Daily Magic Games will only release new games directly to backers instead of through the game distribution system. We will only print games to fulfill our backer demand, plus 250 copies for the Daily Magic Games web shop. Castellans, which is this new one that has just finished up on Kickstarter, will not be released through game distributors.
Yeah, so basically they're going to become a Kickstarter or crowdfunding, but Kickstarter is where they do it, only company, and only sell games via the crowdfunding channel, and then have a few copies left for their web shop. So I would postulate that this is in response to the way that the market is going, and that it is very hard to get stuff coming above the fray of all of these games out there. So they have decided we're only going to sell it here, make our top amount of margin on these games. We can't just keep this huge amount of inventory. Distributors are not taking it. Therefore, here's the games, guys, if you want the game, and we'll keep a little bit more for the web store over time. So I would think that this might even happen to more in the future. This is an interesting way of going. And
Yeah,
it's almost, by the way, if you think about one more thing, if you think about it, it's almost putting a little bit of limited editionality on it, though they're not saying that if it does sell through that they won't reprint. But it's going to be very hard for them in this model to do a reprint because when you reprint, doing 1,000 games is a bad economic model for the most part. Doing 2,000 starts to get a little bit better.
Straight reprints are actually a difficult thing to do on some of the crowdfunding platforms, especially Kickstarter. Kickstarter has a rule that you are not allowed to do a crowdfunding project for exactly the same thing you already did a crowdfunding project for. You're not allowed to crowdfund a straight reprint. You can do a new shiny edition, you can do a little expansion and have reprints with it, but you're not allowed to kickstart a reprint.
Right. So I'm going to take this next one because this one is interesting as all heck.
I put it in just for you.
I maybe you did. Maybe Mattel is releasing Pictionary versus AI. A new version of the classic board game Pictionary will see players drawing for an AI program. Pictionary is a family board game in which players must attempt to draw clues to help players guess various words. Each player will have a series of words that they'll earn points for if they're able to get the other players to correctly guess them. We all know this. The latest version of Pictionary sees the guessing players being replaced by an AI program. In Pictionary versus AI, players will take it in turns to draw their words for an artificial intelligence program to guess. Using a web app, the players will be able to use their mobile or tablets to scan the images that they draw. This is so interesting, especially in, it's reverse.
In the light of everything else going on.
It's reverse. So we're going to ask the AI to guess what we just drew versus the AI drawing something and giving it to us for I don't know, to use in a board game. So,
and by the way, it's out.
Oh, this is out already
stores too. Now it is at Walmart, Amazon, and Target, and $25.
$25 for this. I mean, this is almost worth picking up just to talk about, right? I'm going to do it. I'm picking this up. Walmart and Target, they're going to get my business, I think.
AI is so controversial right now. I'm not touching this.
You won't even bring the game into your house. Very, very
I think it's absolutely fascinating. I think it's a great idea. There's so many games out there that are you bring together a group of people, one of them acts as judge, and the judge decides which is the best. That's a very common theme in games. But it's fascinating now to be able to turn that into a game where everybody plays and an AI acts as judge. I think that's a cool idea.
Very, very cool. So here's something where, kind of worlds are colliding here. Evil Genius Games, a hobby game company, is suing Netflix, one of the largest companies in the world. Why not sue them over Rebel Moon? And they claim that Netflix wrongfully terminated their role-playing development agreement. And here's the news. Evil Genius Games suing Netflix, alleging wrongful termination of their agreement to develop a tabletop role-playing game based on the upcoming Rebel Moon film by Zack Snyder. Rebel Moon is set to be streaming on December 22nd, 2023, according to the complaint. On March 22nd, 2023, Evil Genius Games entered into agreement with Netflix to develop a tabletop role-playing game and related gaming materials for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon film franchise, a planned series of Netflix space opera movies. Netflix declared a material breach and terminated the agreement on May 25th, 2023. So only 2 months later. Claiming that Evil Genius had violated confidentiality portions of the agreement at Gamma Expo by sharing artwork for the game. Evil Genius said that Netflix agreed to disclose certain artwork at Gamma Expo for solicitation purposes in a conversation before the event.
Now, what
Wow.
I find fascinating about this is it's pretty well documented, the event where Rebel Moon shared images. And Netflix representatives were the ones sharing it at the event.
Get out of here. So
They were there.
at the Gamma trade show, they were there.
Yeah.
That
It's really
this
funny.
is not gonna, I mean, look, he who owns the most lawyers wins, very often. That's just a thing with sadly with the US court system. But that doesn't sound like it bodes well for Netflix, and they might lose this if literally their guys were there sharing the images.
It's
very weird.
They're all going to claim that this one didn't know and that one didn't know, and this one worked out of contract and this one did it wrong, and so it's going to turn legalese.
It's going to turn legalese is exactly right. Now here's another one that I absolutely love. Renegade Game Studios continuing to expand their partnership with Hasbro, and they're adding more classic games, including some of my favorite games in the entire world, to their lineup from the old Avalon Hill lineup. We have here that they will now, and they've already announced a whole bunch of games, right? So now they're adding Vegas Showdown, absolutely one of my favorites out there.
Fantastic
They're adding
title.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that. I love that game. I played it recently again. It never ceases to deliver.
These are great. Nexus Ops.
Nexus Ops is my single favorite light war game out there. Risk 2210, which is like the best version of Risk that's out there, and Risk Godstorm with some really cool minis, at least in the original Avalon Hill.
And this adds on to Axis and Allies, Robo Rally, themed version, so Robo Rally Transformers. It's insane how much stuff they are putting out now.
Yeah, so if anyone out there has not played some of the games that we just touted as being so great, Nexus Ops, Vegas Showdown, those two are literally absolutely, I mean, I have never made a list of my top 100 games, but both of those games would be in my top 100 games. If you haven't played them, go play them, and this is a chance for you to go out and get them again, because Vegas Showdown was reprinted at one point, I think, by Avalon Hill after it was out of print for a while. Nexus Ops was licensed by Fantasy Flight, and that edition is way out of print now. So, and forget about Risk 2210 and Risk Godstorm. Once they were gone, they were gone. I have 2210. I don't think I have Godstorm. I might have had it and then gave it to somebody or traded it with somebody. But these are great titles. These are really good.
I have the most recent Vegas Showdown reprint is 2012.
Yeah, right. So it was out there, but it was hard to get. New York Toy Fair is leaving New York after 100 years, apparently.
What are we going to call it?
But is it? So, like, literally in the span of, like, what was it, 2 days? The first announcement here was on October 2nd, and then the second announcement that we saw was October 17th. And they said, we're leaving New York. And then we said, maybe we're not leaving New York. So do you have any insights on this, Corey, or is this just like
I don't.
craziness?
The toy fairs, New York, Nuremberg, they're kind of a blind spot for me. I haven't gone yet. I know I should go. They're so popular and such an interesting kind of gamma on steroids level of business to business. But I don't know the
Yeah.
backstory of this. It smells like they were trying to strong arm New York into a better deal.
I don't know that, but so to give the backstories, the New York Toy Fair, right, like 100 years, as we mentioned, been going on. It is tremendous in size, but almost everybody that goes there is looking for toys. They're looking for the stuff that that the Hasbro toy section and Mattel and all of those kinds of companies make toys and plushies and stuff like that. But there's like 2 rows of this massive Jacob Javits Center where it's held, 2 rows that are like games, hobby games, our games. So Stronghold went under the PSI umbrella. So I worked out of their booth to show things to retailers. It is a business to business, a publisher or manufacturer to the retailers, but the retailers mostly of toys. But there was a section of those retailers that would come to see actual games, hobby games, and we would also do meetings with Amazon there and Barnes and Noble and that. So after announcing that they were going to leave and go to New Orleans beginning in 2026,
Yeah.
they immediately have a change of heart and said, well, everybody really wants us to stay there, so we're going to stay in New York. Why this weirdness happened, no one is saying, but they're essentially blaming it or attributing it to the people that go. They wanted it to stay in New York, and now they've got problems when it's going to run, because the 2026 event will have a crossover in dates on some level with the Gamma trade show back in that year.
And that's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough for some people.
So interestingly, the Lucky Duck crew, when they came over, had just come from the New York the New York Toy Fair,
which had moved into the fall for a while, for like 2 years, but now is going back to the the first quarter.
They told me that the hottest toy, because it is mostly little physical toys, was a blind box little Japanese angel doll that was buck naked and wearing a fruit hat. And you would buy one of these blind boxes. You didn't know which one you'd get, but you get a little doll about this big. And they were boys because they were naked and everything was hanging out. And they have stickers on them, and you could stick them onto things. And
do you see my incredulous face here?
Little wings. I mean, so the Lucky Duck guys came home with these toys and stuck them all over my house.
Like the creepiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
They're a little weird, but they were the hot toy.
Why? What do people want with this thing? Who knows? Who knows? I can't. I have no words. Asmodee.
Just a weird tangent.
Yes, thank you very
much.
It's
living in my brain now. It has to live in yours.
And everybody, all our thousands of listeners and viewers. That's it. Thank you so much for that. Asmodee continues to bring people into their distribution fold, not acquisitions of companies, but to continue to expand their distribution, particularly North American. Asmodee inks a deal with Friendly Skeleton Games to distribute. Asmodee has linked the deal with Friendly Skeleton to distribute their games in hobby, specialty, mass market, toys, and gifts. This non-exclusive agreement adds Friendly Skeleton titles to Asmodee distribution catalog. Titles featured in this agreement are Monstrosity, Trash Talk, Cristallo, Claim Hands, Fantastic Factory. So the only one of those games that really is anything big at all is Monstrosity, I think. I don't even know the other
Fantastic ones. Factory still has a huge following.
Oh, good. Okay, didn't know that.
And Claim is an absolutely fantastic deck builder.
Okay.
Trick taking deck builder. As you win tricks, you add the cards to your deck. So if you haven't played it, you should give that a shot. It's a great game.
Very cool. And just to completely close the loop on this, when I first saw the story, I was like, who is Friendly
We
Skeleton?
talked about this. They
I
had the giant dumpster at Gen Con.
Yes, and they are the rebranding of Deep Water Games, which
Yes.
has got more of a, I don't, again, why did they change the name? We don't know that we only speculated on. They said it was better for their types of games. I guess it is.
Yep.
But they are no longer Deep Water, but we're talking about the same company. All right, we have a couple more stories, and we have really gone deep into stories here. Magic the Gathering and Marvel team up. Corey,
So
what's
this
going on
one's
here?
kind of exciting.
Corey? Uh-oh.
So we had slight technical difficulty. I think we're good now.
Yes, I'm going to make sure we edit that out. So
So
go ahead.
Wizards of the Coast has announced that Magic the Gathering is going to team up with Marvel Comics for a new collaboration. So, as you know, there's been these team ups with Magic the Gathering. They did a Warhammer set. They've announced a Fallout set. They did a Doctor Who set. They did a Lord of the Rings set, which
That's
Stephen
the
talked about
popular
more
one.
times than necessary. And most of them have been just single packs or a couple packs. The Lord of the Rings was an actual set, but this is so much more. So they've announced there's going to be a Marvel set, and it's going to be a multi-year, multi-set deal of large expansions of Marvel Magic the Gathering cards.
That
So
sounds freaking amazing. I mean, yeah, it doesn't quite get me as excited as the Lord of the Rings set that just came out, but it gets me very excited. I can see myself buying a few commander decks. Like I need to have like the Wolverine commander
so
deck, and
they're calling it a tentpole Magic set.
tent.
And they said, yeah,
What
I've
does that mean?
no idea. So the first tentpole Magic set in the deal will be released in 2025, with additional sets planned under the multi-year, multi-set deal.
I think a tent pole might have just been created in this house. Anyway, this is a really great. Wow, what are you talking about? I put a tent up.
I'm not doing no,
This be
no.
cool. It's because a family show here. Um, this is a really cool idea because obviously the characters from Marvel and DC, of course, as well, will really blend well and be just make sense within this world in every level. So I can just see bringing out the smaller heroes, the bigger heroes, going, X-Men versus Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. What do they call them? So the Brotherhood of Mutants. I can
Yeah,
just see creating decks around these things and things like that. So
I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think it's going to be super popular.
very, very, very cool. All right, we have one more story, which literally you put in like as we were setting up for the show, and tell us
Yeah.
about it.
So Garima Sharma has been elected to the Gamma Board of Directors, and Garima is head of merchandise, tabletop, and licensing at Skybound Entertainment. Uh, Sharma has been in the games industry for over 7 years and has experience in games publishing, development, and distribution. She's been in her role at Skybound for more than 4 years, and prior to that, she was VP of Product and Strategy at Studio 71. So she's filling the publisher's board seat that was once occupied by the former Gamma president, Stefan Brassard.
Oh,
So
okay. Is Stefan still on the board, or did he leave? That I didn't actually know.
it it is implying strongly that he has left that board.
Oh, so Stefan, guy I've known for years and years and years. He has recently done other things in the industry, moving around quite a bit. I had not known that he was leaving. If he is, I think I'm going to reach out to him. I saw him. I saw him in Essen, so I thought that he did not mention about the change in the Gamma board. But this is interesting news. Good to
Yeah.
hear. Good to hear that. I don't know Garima Sharma, but this is very cool.
I don't know Garima as well, but She's got a quote. I came to the tabletop industry as a young Indian female immigrant, and despite the labels that I was experiencing elsewhere, I found a lot of helpful faces and friends willing to introduce me to the ins and outs of the industry. 7 years later, I continued to do my same in my role as an entrepreneur and executive. So she's looking to help foster inclusion and diversity within the gaming industry and looking to mentor and guide female talent. So I think she's going to be a great fit into the Gamma board.
That's sounds perfect to me. Good luck to her. And we have gone long and we've done a lot of news. We've caught up on all of our news. I think that's important so that we're not too laggy in when things come out. So let's go immediately to the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather Gaming YouTube channel. If you want to be part of this podcast, you can just ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment by posting them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek, and also answer our question to you from the playtesting segment. That'll come back next week by going to our guild on Board Game Geek and looking for the thread with this episode's question. Check out our websites, which are portalgamesus.com, podfathergaming.com, and dicetowerdish.com. We're also all over social media. Help us interact. Please interact with us, I should say. And please like our pages, which are Board Games Insider on Facebook, Portal Games US, and Podfather Gaming. And you can speak directly to Ignacy, Corey, and Steve on Instagram and Twitter or X at Portal Games US, at Podfather Gaming, at Dice Tower Dish, at Dice Tower Now. And the very active YouTube channels are Portal Games Movies, The Podfather Gaming, and Above Board TV. On TikTok, Ignacy is Portal Games US. We really would love to see you in person at an upcoming convention in 2023. So please reach out. Let's talk. Let's play a game together. We'll see you maybe at BGG Con coming up at the end of this month, middle of this month, and then PAX Unplugged at the beginning of December. Board Games Insider, professionally edited by Joshua Bowman from Tabletop Submarine Podcast. If you want him to edit your podcast, reach out to him to discuss. tabletopsubmarine@gmail.com. And that great voice you hear doing the intro, outro, and in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. What else do you have there, Corey? Any final words? Final words for our friends out there.
Exciting things coming from above board. Let's just say that we are heading to the Dice Tower Studios today, and there might be some filming, maybe something to do with some Christmas videos, or maybe even a contest. I don't know. I can't even begin to speculate on it.
Why don't you mention to Travis that he said, he wanted to do something with me. He told me that at Gen Con, and well, we're in the same.
He keeps telling me that he's setting it up. He's setting it up.
I
We're
can't wait.
Water with sharks.
I would have done that. I would have gone into the water with him. I wasn't asked about that one. He asked me to do something, and I was like, can you think of something else? It was really a rough one, but
How do you feel about bees?
I'm not scared of bees. I am not scared of bees. I would game with bees around me, if that's what you're talking about. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.